everybody, and welcome back to Tales of Wanderlust. If you want to learn about some of the struggles of going from a full-time to part-time RV life, and also what my goals are for 2025, then stay tuned. Alright, welcome back everybody. So, to start this video off, I'll give you an overview of where we are. So we've been on the road now for over 2 weeks. The goal of this whole trip is to get down to Tucson for the Day of the Dead procession, which is the largest in the Southwest. So I've been wanting to do that for a few years. So really excited to be going to do that. And I decided to turn it into a trip. So I left Colorado, went through Utah, came down into Arizona, and it has been a lot warmer than it normally is. So it's currently 87 degrees, which is very warm to be in an RV, especially because I ripped the AC off my roof a few months ago to help with some of the weight of this truck camper. And with that, I had a really important and multi-hour long meeting today. So I'm trying to move my water around so I can get closer to the camera. And so in order to make that meeting work, I actually checked into a hotel last night. The air conditioning was just lovely. Got my meeting all set and done, and now we just pulled back into a friend's driveway, and Jasper ran off. What are you doing, big guy? You coming in? You can come in. There you go. You gonna go up on the bed? Come on. There you go. I doubt that's gonna last very long because it's pretty warm in here, but he's in here now. So we just got back to my friend's driveway. We're hanging out with some friends while we're here, and it's been really interesting on this trip because being a full-timer for over 4 years, going to part-time, even though I've been part-time for a while now, I'm still not in the groove of being part-time. So I'm struggling with the balance of what I enjoy when traveling and what some of the more difficult things are when traveling, which when you're a full-timer, you gotta deal with the difficult in order to have the good. So I think it's a very different mindset that I had because this is just stuff you deal with, right? Whereas now I'm out for 3 weeks and I'm in more of a vacation mode. Like, okay, this is supposed to be vacation, but it's not because I still work a full-time job while on the road. So I have to balance being in the RV 8 or 9 hours a day. So I'm still learning a lot as I go. And I will say one of the things is last night even when I was checking into the hotel, and you know, the hotel is nice and clean, you get air conditioning, a nice long shower, all of that goodness. I started thinking, well, should I actually just sell the camper and then go back to a 4Runner and travel in the 4Runner and stay in Airbnbs like I used to? That was back in the day. We lived in Airbnbs. We would rent one for the whole week. I would work in the Airbnb during the day, which was really comfortable for all of us. We would go check out the city, like Boise, in the evening. And then on the weekends, we would go camping. So even last night, I was like, well, maybe I should do that again because that was a pretty good balance. But I can tell you now that I am getting back into the rig from the hotel after one night, I love having my own personal space. This is amazing. I like moving into spaces. I like customizing them, making them my own. Hence the constant RV renovations. Opening up the door to get back into my RV, which even though it was still warm and not the most comfortable thing right now because of the heat, I'm very happy to be back in this. So I'm trying to just take cues from what I'm doing and finding where that happiness is so I can maybe figure out what part-time travel looks like for me. So there's my first decision. I'm probably gonna keep an RV, which is, you know, I didn't think that was up for decision until last night, but hey, we're gonna stay with RV life, right bud? The other thing I've been struggling with is Jasper, because at home during the work day, when I'm staring at my computer all day, Jasper has a nice backyard to run in. He's got a big house. Most of the time he ends up just sleeping by me at the computer desk, but here in the RV, realistically, when I'm working, he can hang out outside by the door. I leave him tied up on a lead, or he can hang out on the bed. And I've got terrible dog mom guilt. So I think in future trips, I'm gonna focus more on taking some time off and balancing time off with work. So instead of having 5 full-time days, 2 days off, and back to 5 full-time days, I think I'm gonna sprinkle in some vacation there so that hopefully we can even that out a little bit more and make it a little bit easier for Jasper and I. So now he's realizing that it's hot in here. So I'm gonna take him outside and probably into my friend's house where we have AC. Thankfully, the heat breaks tonight. All right, the heat finally broke. So Jasper and I are back out boondocking. If you can see the top of my camper over there, we found this really nice area. There's still people here. I haven't found a boondocking spot yet on this trip where we were truly alone. So this realization from the hotel, I know I don't want to go back to Airbnbs. I want to stay in RVs. So that's a good realization. But what else is really different between full-time and part-time travel? So the first big thing is it is a very different community on the road. So when I was full-time traveling, I had a lot of full-time RV friends and we would travel together. So we would end up in a spot similar to this. We would do our work day, we'd meet up for dog walks after, do dinners together, different things like that. So it's very common to have a community around me, and it's not as common to have that part-time because that community still exists, but they still travel together and they travel very differently than a part-timer does. So they tend to stay in a place for a week or two at a time. They tend to follow the weather. They aren't always in places that I want to necessarily go visit. So yes, on this trip, I'm actually visiting some of my friends. So I am still seeing friends, have community, but I spend a lot of days by myself in the middle of nowhere with Jasper, where I'm realizing before, yes, I did this, but it was really well balanced with having people around me. So I really love traveling alone, but I think it's just getting into a different mindset, realizing that I'm going to be doing a whole lot more of this and a lot less of the community. The other thing is I need to find other communities that travel in a similar way that I do now. So definitely a big difference there. So the other thing I've noticed is we have to get back into the groove of traveling. It takes me, this is 2.5 weeks into my 3-week trip. And just now I feel like I'm back in the groove. So it takes some time to start finding dump stations and potable water, remembering how to conserve water, conserve energy, how to make him happy, what I like to do on the road, how to explore, how to balance everything. It's just very different being a part-time traveler from a full-time traveler. So thankfully, we are feeling, or at least I'm feeling, a lot more in the groove today. I also think that this goes into a lot of the rig indecision that I've had. I sold the Airstream base camp, then I bought the small Northern Light truck camper. I now have a much larger truck camper, and I'm still not happy with this setup. And the reason I think I'm having such issues with finding the perfect rig is, one, there is no such thing as a perfect rig. There's the best rig for the most scenarios for you, is what I'm learning. But also, I'm not 100% sure exactly how I want to travel. So I have been thinking about, okay, do I sell this and go back to an Airstream base camp, but get the 20X version? The nice part about that is it's big, it's luxurious, tons of room for when I'm working and traveling, tons of storage, but then I'm towing and I'm not as agile moving. Whereas having a truck camper, it is so much easier to drive, and I'm doing a lot more driving. And if I get a pop-up truck camper, to be even more specific, my gas mileage will improve, the drivability, such as when there's high crosswinds, things like that, that will improve. So I really do think a lot of my struggles are more around, I need to figure out how I want to travel and the best way to travel for us, and then I'll find the right rig. So with that, the Lance is probably going to stick around for a while, even though I'm not 100% of a fan of it. All right, now I'm back home. I'm unpacking. Jasper's in the house, reuniting with Napoleon, and I'm really glad on this trip I finally was able to figure a few of the things out. So going into next year, there's a few things I'm going to focus on to make travel hopefully more fun and hopefully figure out this part-time thing. So 3 goals for 2025. First, a much better work-life balance. So when I was traveling full-time, I had a different job than I have now. Got my master's degree, got a couple of promotions, all very exciting stuff, but the work-life balance has definitely gone downhill. So I want to focus on getting that back because that will make time out on the road a lot more fun if I'm not working 9-10 hour days. Number 2, when I go out and travel, I want to focus on the destinations and planning the trips more and taking more time off when I'm there. That way, I'm actually going on a trip and I'm going on a vacation because that's what it is now. And I need to reframe the way I think about things and how I plan and really focus on that. And once I figure out how I like to travel to those destinations, hopefully I can figure out what kind of rig I actually want. And finally, number 3, this year I hiked my first 14er, which has been a big goal of mine for a long time, and I loved it. It was exhilarating. I had such a good time. So I was in really good shape over the summer because I was focused on doing that hike, and I have lost that. So for 25, I want to focus on getting in shape again, and I want to do more of those big epic hikes. So how am I going to get in shape? I'm going to do a lot of hiking. That's how I want to do my cardio. And then I want to start doing a lot of strength training. So one of the things I'm going to do starting on January 6th is it's called a Progress Not Perfection Challenge. So it teaches you how to use these bands. So instead of carrying weights around, which is very hard to do when you have a camper, you can carry around these strength bands. So if you remember Chris from Irene Iron Travels or Irene Iron Fitness, who's a good friend of mine from on the road, she actually runs a 10-week challenge, and it teaches you how to use these bands. I'll be doing that starting January 6th, and my goal is to keep doing that throughout the year. If you want to join me, there is a $10 off code down below. So it's $89 and then you get $10 off. And it's 10 weeks of teaching you how to use these, nutrition tips, all of that goodness. Last year I did this challenge in April, I think it was, and it carried me through the summer. And I was really motivated, and then work got in the way, work-life balance took over, and my fitness and everything went down. So I'm really excited to start with the challenge again, get back into shape, start traveling more, going on more vacations in the rig, taking the dogs out. Here's to a really good 2025. Here's to figuring out rigs, maybe in 2025, and if not, just enjoying what I have. And I appreciate you watching, kind of walking through all of this with me as I learn how to become like a really good part-time RVer and how to travel this way. So if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, put them below and I'll go ahead and respond to them. If you want to join me on the challenge, the coupon code is below as well as a link to the challenge. So thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I'll talk to you later.